Recently, Mountain Rain published a video about an out-of-body experience. I watched that video today, and at the end of it, she mentioned that when she started to wonder where she was, that wondering of where took her soul back into her body in this world, and she came out of the out-of-body experience and back to normality. So it reminded me of some thoughts I had a while ago about interesting curiosities of the English language, and also different people in the community have raised certain points about we should be careful about usage of certain words because they may have certain subconscious meanings that we may not necessarily be fully aware of, but have like a hidden underlying message beneath them. If we break words down, sometimes we can see different meanings behind words. I just wanted to provide a few thoughts today on some very common words in the English language, and they are the who, what, where, when, why, and how. For me, these words are shortcut words, and what I mean by that is we use them as a way of simplifying or reducing the amount of words that we speak. But we don't necessarily need all of those words. So, as an example, years ago when I was learning Chinese, my teacher said to me that in Chinese, the word for why is 为什么, and there is no equivalent exactly the same as what we have in English word why. They don't have a word for why. What they say is 为, which means for, and then they say 什么, which is what. So they literally say for what. And she said, when you think about it, for what, it kind of means why when you think about it. Another way of expressing that in words that we would be familiar with is what reason. Instead of saying why, you could say what reason. And so when I thought about it in different ways, and I thought about all the different who, what, where, when, why words, you only really need what. There's also the word which is similar to what, but which is applied in certain circumstances and what is applied in others, just because it sounds a bit nicer to our ears. But you could almost get away with just using what in all of those situations. So instead of which, you can kind of say what, and it has more or less the same meaning most of the time. Instead of saying who, you can say what person or what human being, because that's what we mean when we say who. We mean what human or which human. What is what, who, what, where. Instead of saying where, what it actually means is what place or what position. Basically, some sort of thing to do with space or your position somewhere. Basically, what position or what place is where. Who, what, where, when. So in terms of when, instead of saying when, you can say what time. So again, time and space. We've got these time and space ideas that are so built into us. And, we've come up with these words like when and where, but really what we're actually saying is what place and what time. And of course there's why that I talked about before, where you can literally use the Chinese equivalent of for what, or you can say what reason. And then there's how. So how is, what method do you use to achieve it? How do you do something? What method do you use to do something? So these are all just different ways of expressing the same thing without having to use those words at all. So when you think about it, we have these unnecessary words in English. These words allow us to reduce the volume of words that we speak, because instead of saying what reason, we can just say why. And it's shorter and it's quicker and it's a little bit easier for us. But it also, it increases the complexity of the language, because it increases the volume of the amount of words within the language. And so English is this big hodgepodge of different words that's been taken from different languages and all these different ideas and thoughts, and it's all mixed together in this big higgledy-piggledy. And it doesn't always make a lot of sense. But when you look at some other languages, some other languages are quite straightforward and simple in how they piece everything together, and it's very, very logical. And so, it's just something to think about. Are there different ways of expressing what we need to say? Because at the end of the day, maybe we overthink things too much. Maybe the universe is really quite a simple, straightforward thing. This whole place that we're living and time that we're living, instead of saying where and when, maybe it's just, what place and what time. And to some extent, I don't even know if places and time are real things in the way that we understand them. We may be misunderstanding the very concepts of space and time completely. But those are my thoughts for another video. So let me know your thoughts for this video today.